The link arrived at 2:14 a.m., glowing pale blue against the dark of the room, a quiet vibration on the edge of a phone that should have been asleep along with everything else. The fan rattled above, chopping the air into uneven breaths, and the streetlight outside leaked through the curtains in a tired orange stripe. Adam had been lying there for hours, eyes open, listening to the small sounds of a life that felt paused. When the phone buzzed, his first instinct was annoyance. Nobody texted at that hour unless something was wrong. He picked it up, squinting. Unknown sender. No name, no profile picture. Just a link. He stared at it, thumb hovering, the way a person does when they sense something ordinary might tilt into something else. He almost put the phone face down again. Almost. Curiosity had always been his quiet weakness. That, and the belief that sometimes the universe whispered instead of shouted. He tapped. The screen loaded slowly, as if considering whether to reveal itself. A video page opened, paused on a frame that made his chest tighten before he even knew why. It showed a bus stop he recognized instantly, the cracked bench with the faded city logo, the bent pole holding a timetable nobody read anymore. He had stood there 1,000 mornings, coffee cooling in his hand, watching the same buses arrive late. The timestamp in the corner read 3 years ago. Adam sat up. The video began to play. The sound was raw, handheld, wind hissing against the microphone. The camera wobbled, then steadied, focusing on the bus stop. And there he was, younger, heavier in the face, shoulders slumped in a way he no longer remembered but felt in his bones. He was sitting on the bench, staring at his phone, unaware he was being filmed. A woman sat beside him, elderly, wrapped in a gray coat too thin for the season. She was speaking to him, her mouth moving slowly, carefully, as if each word had weight. Adam's breath caught. He remembered her, or rather, he remembered not remembering her. One of those countless brief human intersections that dissolve into the blur of survival. Or so he had thought. In the video, he nodded as she spoke, occasionally smiling, occasionally glancing at the road. He looked distracted, but kind enough. At one point, she reached into her bag and pulled out a folded piece of paper, pressing it into his hand. He hesitated, then took it. The video zoomed closer, catching his expression as he read whatever was written there. His eyebrows knit together. He looked up at her, said something the microphone didn't quite catch. She smiled. A bus roared past, briefly blocking the view. When it cleared, she was gone. The bench was empty beside him. The video ended. Adam stared at the frozen frame, his reflection faintly visible in the glass of the phone. His heart was pounding, not fast but heavy, each beat landing with a dull insistence. He scrolled down, hands slightly shaking. The description was short. If you're watching this, you were kinder than you know. Below it, comments. Thousands of them. People sharing stories, thanking someone who looked like him, arguing about whether the encounter was staged. The upload date was 2 weeks ago. He sat there until the fan clicked off and the room grew too quiet. Memories stirred, slow and reluctant. That morning at the bus stop had been one of the worst of his life, though he hadn't known it yet. He had just been laid off. The email had arrived an hour earlier, impersonal and final. He had sat on that bench with the taste of burnt coffee in his mouth, trying to calculate how long his savings would last, trying not to panic. The woman had started talking to him about the weather. Or maybe about her son. He couldn't remember. What he did remember, now that the door had been cracked open, was the paper she'd given him. He'd folded it and put it in his pocket, forgotten about it. Until later that night. He'd read it again then, sitting alone in his apartment, lights off, the city humming outside. It had been a poem, handwritten, shaky but deliberate. About being seen, about staying. He had cried. Quiet and ashamed, the way adults cry when they believe they shouldn't need to anymore. The next morning, the paper had been gone. Lost between couch cushions or thrown away in a moment of cleaning that felt like erasing evidence of weakness. Over time, even the memory of the woman had faded. Life had demanded attention elsewhere. Now, 3 years later, here it was. Or part of it, preserved by someone else's lens. Adam refreshed the page, as if it might explain itself if given another chance. The username of the uploader was a string of numbers and letters. No profile picture, no other videos. He clicked through anyway, finding nothing. His chest tightened with a mix of gratitude and unease. Why had someone filmed them? Why now? His phone buzzed again. Another message from the same unknown number. Did you watch it? He swallowed and typed back before he could overthink it. Yes. The reply came almost instantly. I was there. Adam's fingers hovered over the screen. The room felt smaller, the walls inching closer. He typed, "Who are you?" There was a pause this time, long enough for his thoughts to spiral. He imagined faces, intentions. He imagined kindness and cruelty in equal measure. Finally, the phone buzzed. My name is Maya. I was sitting across from you. You didn't notice me. He closed his eyes, letting the memory settle. The bench opposite, half in shadow. Someone had been there, hadn't they? He had been so wrapped in his own fear. Why did you film us? He typed, trying to keep accusation out of it. Another pause. Because my mother said later that it was the last conversation she ever had with a stranger. And it mattered to her. The words hit him with unexpected force. His throat tightened. Your mother was the woman. Yes. He leaned back against the headboard, staring at the ceiling, at the faint crack that ran like a fault line across it. He felt suddenly young, unsteady, like he was standing at the edge of something fragile. Is she? He began, then erased it. Typed again. Is she okay? She passed away last year. I'm sorry. Thank you. She talked about you once, months later. She said she met a man who looked like he was about to disappear, and she wanted to make sure he didn't. Adam laughed softly, a sound halfway to a sob. He pressed the heel of his hand into his eye, grounding himself in the physical sensation. I didn't know, he typed. I barely remember what we talked about. Maya replied. She knew. She said sometimes it's enough to listen badly but stay. The fan clicked back on, the room filling again with its uneven breath. Adam felt something loosen inside him, something he hadn't known was still tight. Why post it now? He asked. Because I found the video cleaning out my old laptop. And because I've been angry at the world, and I wanted to remember that small moments matter. And because I hoped, maybe, you'd see it. He exhaled slowly. I did. Good. They sat in that digital silence for a while, two strangers tethered by a shared memory neither had fully owned until now. Adam thought of the last 3 years, of the slow climb back into stability, of the job he'd found, the relationship that had almost worked, the quiet nights that still sometimes felt like edges. He thought of how many moments he'd dismissed as insignificant, how many chances to be present he'd let slip by. Can I ask you something? Maya wrote. Of course. Did that conversation change anything for you? He considered the question carefully. The honest answer was complicated. I think it kept me company, he typed. On a night when I felt very alone. I don't know if that counts as change. There was another pause. Then. It does. The phone buzzed again. This time with a notification from the video page. New comment. His heart skipped as he read it. This man saved my life without knowing it. He scrolled, finding the comment buried among thousands. The username was unfamiliar, the story brief. Someone describing a morning at a bus stop, a stranger's presence making them pause instead of stepping into traffic. Adam's skin prickled. He typed to Maya, people think it's me who did something. She replied, maybe it is, or maybe it's just a mirror. Either way, it's real to them. He set the phone down on his chest, feeling the rise and fall of his breath. The room felt different now, charged, like a place where something had happened even though he was still sitting on the same bed, under the same flickering light. In the days that followed, the video spread. News outlets picked it up, framing it as a story about human connection, about unseen kindness. Adam's inbox filled with messages from strangers. Some thanked him, some asked him to speak, to explain, to be something he wasn't sure he was. He ignored most of them, overwhelmed by the weight of expectation. He replied only to Maya, their conversations growing longer, more detailed. She told him about her mother, about the way she collected poems and left them like breadcrumbs in the world. He told her about the job he'd lost, the fear that had hollowed him out. One evening, after a particularly long exchange, Maya sent him a photo. It showed a familiar piece of paper, yellowed at the edges, handwriting shaky but legible. I found another copy, she wrote. She used to make extras. He stared at the poem, at the words that had once steadied him without him understanding why. His chest ached with something like gratitude and grief intertwined. "Can I ask you something?" He typed. "Anything. Do you ever feel like you missed something important because you didn't know it was important at the time?" "All the time. But I also think that if we knew, it would change the moment. And then it wouldn't be the same." He smiled, small and genuine. A week later, he found himself back at the bus stop. He hadn't planned it, not consciously. His feet had just carried him there one morning. Instia,